people's homes, and it just became a lot more real and authentic. And I think that's appropriate, whether it's, in your case, training basketball now outside. People, some kids I know nowadays, they probably ain't played basketball outside
They ain't never
their entire
played.
life.
They ain't never played the entire life. You could just tell in general, ooh, these shoes. Boy, if you don't get out there and play, it ain't got nothing to do with putting the ball in the hole.
All right, man. We official. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm glad I caught up with, a celebrity pro trainer. You know what I mean? It's hard to, lock you down, track you down, but I'm glad I got you. You know what I mean? So the people that don't know you, you know what I mean? You, like I said, a pro trainer to everyone, but I'll let you introduce yourself so they have a better idea who you are and what you do.
So I wear kind of a lot of hats. I'm the head men's basketball coach over at Mount Hood. I also own my own AAU program. For people that don't know what AAU is, it's basically an opportunity for kids to play in the summer and travel around the nation. And so I own International Elite, was Adidas affiliated. So we travel around the nation, get these kids offers. And then I'm an Adidas commercial trainer. So I train a lot of guys NBA wise as far as in commercials. Like they don't really need help, but still train them anyway. And then also too,
do you know Austin Hodges then?
That sounds familiar.
He works for Adidas. Familiar. He does like the NBA whatever connection, but he works with Adidas. The reason I'm asking, they done some commercials at the school that he coached at, Monoma. He's my nephew. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, he do all the NBA stuff. He like the assistant coach up there?
Yeah, he's an assistant coach with Monoma, but he does the NBA stuff with Adidas.
Yeah, he do all that stuff. He be flying around everywhere doing all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. I had a couple guys that I coach play for him or whatnot. Okay. So yeah, they do all the stuff up there. They be having open runs up there too. Some of the NBA guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you said that, I was like, oh wait, you might know him. Portland Supermodels. But keep going. I just had to ask you that.
Yeah, and then I get contracted out through a company, Breakthrough, and they also have about 5 to 9 camps around the nation. So I fly around and do that for them, and then I do my own stuff. I do my own camps. If it wasn't for COVID, I normally have a camp in either China, Africa, or Europe. Kind of set up on my own things too as well, and then I also train individually, NBA, WNBA, a lot of college. And then top ranked high school kids. So
there you go, man. Well, like I said, I know you do a lot. Tell me how you got started, because I know I saw a post the other day where you said you had to give, essentially you had to give kids the business, regardless of what their status was, what they were NBA, D1 product. You had to lace them up and let them know you still had it. But talk about your journey and where you started and how you got to where you are right now.
Well, so I'm originally from Kansas City.
Missouri or Kansas?
Kansas, man. That's the best. That's the best side.
Okay. See, it's funny. See, I don't really know the difference. I've never been there, right? But whenever someone says Kansas City, I pretend as if I know what I'm talking about. I know they're right next to each other. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, which one is it?
The only thing that splits is the water. So the water just splits it. The Missouri River splits Kansas City, Kansas City, Missouri. So it's basically one city, but one's on the Kansas side, one on the Missouri side.
There you go.
Missouri is a lot bigger.
I just had somebody on that was from Kansas City, Missouri, a stylist, camera person. So it's crazy that, you know what I mean, literally. So y'all was split on each side. He's still there right now.
Okay. Yeah, I just went back not too long ago, but so I'm from Kansas City, Kansas, and I was playing. I didn't really play varsity ball until like my junior year in high school. Okay. And then I went on from there, and they had a new coach. New coach came in my senior year. I didn't start like the first 5 or 6 games. I was hurt because I was starting my senior year. Yeah, he was a new coach. And then what happened was we got kind of sidetracked as far as he scheduled us too many games. So he split the varsity team up. One went over here, one went over there. Gotcha. And then that's when I went there and broke Earl Watson's record. Had like 41 points, and then I broke my record, hit 42 the next day, and then like 44 the following day. And obviously, I came back and started.
From there, exactly.
Yeah, now he want to start me, right? And then and then I end up having a couple of D1 offers. Didn't pass my ACT, and that's what I kind of tell kids nowadays. Is like you got to focus on that academic piece of it. And coming from the place I was from and the school I was at, that wasn't academically driven.
Got you.
You know, it wasn't doing every little thing to kind of get you ready for college.
Okay.
So you had to figure it out on your own. And it ended up going JUCO for 2 years, and then having 33 D1 offers out of JUCO. So
there you go.
I was blessed, man. And then I end up verbaling to Purdue.
Okay.
Gene Caney retired that year.
Yeah.
Yep. Retired that year. So I end up decommitting and going down to Central Arkansas, another D1 down there in Arkansas, and that's where Scottie Pippen went. Had a great career. Was an All-American. Led the conference in scoring. And then went on to go play 9 years of pro basketball, from NBA Summer League to NBA D League to Spain, Turkey, Russia, EuroLeague. So it's been successful. So I retired about 4 or 5 years ago from playing.
How was that? How was that hanging up? Like I said, ironically, like I said, I just had someone on recently. It hasn't aired yet, but he played professionals as well, and he actually had an injury at the end of his career, which it was almost like a forced retirement. But how was it to actually hang him up? I mean, again, like, for something like that, you've been something you've been doing your entire life, and obviously you stayed within it because you're still connected to it. But how was it, leaving that behind? And at the time, did you know what you were going to do? Or were you kind of like, It was hard, man. First, it was hard because I was in my prime. Yeah.
And I'm saying, like, prime as far as I was getting to my prime as far as game-wise and also money. And so I was, making those 6 figures, and I was doing really well. I retired when I was in Greece. So it's like, I was really getting to a point where I didn't really have to do much and make a lot of money. And so played 9 years, but still it was a short 9 years just because I was kind of just getting right into it. So when I retired, I went to go coach back in Kansas for JUCO, and I was just still like, should I play still or should I coach? And it was hard for me because I still wanted to play, and I was still getting deals. So I was still getting deals to go back overseas.
What is this? So we give context. What timeline are we looking at when this was happening?
I think it was 2000 and I would say 2015.
Okay.
That's when I retired. And then 2015, 16 is where I went to go started coaching. And then my uncle just told me, man, like, once you do one thing, just roll with it. Like, once you say you done, just roll with it, put it in the back, and so you can get to the next phase of your life.
Exactly.
And I think that was important for me. So I was still training, but I wasn't training as heavy. I was training on my off seasons. That's a lot different than training year round.
Yeah.
So
training to be a player and training to, just like you say, maintain is totally different. And I know I can relate. When I was doing this, when I started around the same time, around 2015-ish is when I started doing wardrobe branding at the time. And I was doing something else. And it was becoming more and more successful as another business. But it was one of those things where, like you said, I had to lean into it 100%. Because, it's hard enough to do anything just to be successful, regardless on any level, let alone if you're only doing it 25%. And so it's like I was in a position where I had residual income coming in. So I was like, okay. It was that kind of like that fork in the road. Like, okay, do I lean in 100% or, or do I not do it, essentially? And I decided to lean in because this was what I was passionate about. So when you decide to make that move, again, you're coaching. But from there, like I said, obviously now you see a lot of like celebrity, pro trainers, right? 5 years ago, I don't know if maybe wasn't aware of it. It wasn't as big of a thing. So how did you go from, again, being a player, obviously you have the credibility, you've been doing the game, offers, et cetera, to actually launching now your own training, coaching? How did all that come about? Because that seems like a lot has happened for you in 5 years.
A lot happened really, really quick. And honestly, to be real, I don't want to say it, but it happened really quickly because I came out here, right?
Okay.
And Kansas is a lot different. I mean, Kansas has a lot of good basketball. It's a lot of good people that's out there. But as far as branding wise and being able to, train a lot of different people happens when people, invest into whatever you do. And that doesn't have a lot just to do about money, but just about really trying to get better.
Exactly.
And so you having a connection as far as, Nike Hoop Summit's out here, Adidas out here, Nike's out here, Under Armour's out here. A lot of different events is out here that I didn't know. And so
did you come out here with that intention? Did you know that was, or did you just randomly come to Portland?
Well, I came out here because my wife was from out Portland. And,
okay, gotcha.
And so when I came out here, I just coached. So I was a JUCO coach at Mount Hood, and I just literally took a break away from like training, AAU, every single thing. I just took a break from, and I just peeped the dynamic. The dynamic was a need for. Not saying there's not no good trainers here, because there are, but it was a need for some of the stuff that I was doing, some of the stuff that I do as far as competitiveness, as far as getting these kids offers, as far as getting, you know, the Pacific Northwest, you know, on the map, as far as on the girls' side and on the boys' side. And I just went all in. All in after that.
Talk about that. You actually hit on a couple of things where I think is important. A is putting yourself in an opportunity, in a location for success. Right. It's just like the old saying, like, if you want to be an actor, you know, you go to Hollywood, right? If you want to be a model, you go to New York. Like, you have to be in a space that's conducive to being successful. Now, with social media, of course, has made the world much smaller, but still, it's nothing like being at that coffee shop where you can run into a director, right? There's nothing like being where you have Nike in your backyard. So I think that's super important. Also, that I want to know about, you were in Portland, which you said there wasn't a lot of you. Again, I can relate that to me with fashion. One of the things that helped me was the fact that, although it didn't seem like it was a fit for this environment in this location, I stood out immediately because there was no one else like me, right? So I was one of one. Talk about that, because there also is the disadvantage of being the first in the space, because you have to work, you know, you have to create it. You know what I mean? There's an aspect of having the advantage of being the only one, but there's also the disadvantage of creating it. How was that like for you, being essentially, I'm not saying you're just the only one, but really one of a few or one of one in this space? Was there a lot of pushback, or how did they respond?
I think, you know, being a African American in general, you know, out here is a lot different than being back home. So I think when a new person kind of coming in and kind of trying to do some things that they potentially already done, or, you know, thinking way outside the box, that's always going to be some pushback. So, but unfortunately with me, I don't hear it, because I'm not on all the social medias. I'm not hanging around every single person in their mama. So for me, I was able to kind of move in the lane that I wanted to move in, and I just made some jumps quick. And so, but that was just one thing. I was just talking with a good friend of mine. He coached me in my first year in JUCO. He's a coach for Mississippi State, and I was talking about a girl that potentially he might like. And he was just saying, like, man, listen, don't have her come down here, because her being an African American girl and out there, well, she's doing something special. So she's different, you know? And so for, you know, put that back in context, it was just something that it was a little bit of pushback. And it still is, you know, it's still, you know, what you call the people that's hating, you know, is what you call it. But I don't have Instagram. I don't have Twitter, and that's for a reason. I don't have those things because I don't want to be considered an Instagram trainer, right? A Twitter trainer. I don't want to be a social media trainer. The real reason why I do it is because I want to get a platform for these kids, and these pros, whoever, to get to that next level. I didn't have that, right? And so a college coach can easily say, hey man, what about this girl? Oh, okay, cool. You can look her up on YouTube, and she's gonna always be there. But a coach don't have Instagram. You know, a coach maybe got Instagram, but they're not going to scroll through all the Instagram. That's for kids, you know, so there's branding and stuff. So they're going to get 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 views, but not necessarily a college coach is going to be watching that. And so I just did stuff a lot different, and I'm actually played the game. And when you get guys and girls that train or coach that never played the game, it's coming from a different space, you know? So it's just like, you know, how can I believe somebody about styling or something like that if they never truly even been, you know, maybe walked or been a model, or, you know, had never been in the lane of being with somebody. You know, you got to have kind of a resume. You don't have to have a resume, but it's coming from a different lane a little bit.
No,
you know?
Man, that's 100%. I remember, I refereed basketball a little bit, right? I used to referee. I mean, I was actually relatively good, but like I said, the one thing that's different is I played basketball. So I'm not just refereeing from the book. I'm refereeing from the perspective of me playing. Like, what I let go, what I don't let go. I understand the flow of the game, what should happen, what shouldn't happen. It's not just black and white. The same thing when I was doing wardrobe branding, like, and I knew I was going to do events. Like, I've walked in shows, I've produced events, you know what I mean? I've hosted events. And the reason why I did that was not because I wanted to be a model. I wanted to understand every aspect from within the business. So then when I have that conversation with the model, like, oh, this needs to be your cadence when you walk down the runway or whatever, I can speak not only from someone that's doing it, but someone that has experience. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I had that level of credibility. I definitely want to talk about the branding side because, like you said, you didn't want to be a Instagram trainer or a Twitter trainer, and you also kind of controlled your environment as far as what noise you let in and let out. It seems like you made a specific, like, this is what you were going to do and this is what you weren't going to do. What made you decide to do that? Because obviously it's working for you. You still be able to brand yourself. And I liken it to people. I tell you, look, there's no one way to brand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's no you have to be here. You don't have to be on Instagram to be a successful trainer. You're proof of that. You don't have to be on Twitter. You know what I mean? Now you do have to
Mm-hmm.
brand yourself and market yourself in
Absolutely.
some way,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to follow a specific formula to think that's what everyone else is doing. I need to do it too. So what made you recognize that? Because again, like I said, not only are you a trainer, you are a entrepreneur, you're a marketer, and you brand yourself and you do it really well.
Mm-hmm. For me, I was thinking, how can I first not be easily accessible,
Okay.
right? Because I think that's important. If if your brand is kind of watered down and you training everybody,
Yeah.
well, that might be okay, and people may be doing it for money. But for me, I don't train everybody, and
Got you.
and that might sound a little bit, on a a-hole part of it. But for me, I was just saying, I am not going to train somebody that just started to play basketball.
Got you.
Right? I
But
can't
no,
do
but
it.
that's the thing. Like, people need to identify you aren't supposed to be everything for everybody. There's
Right.
someone for that person, and for your particular
Right.
skill set and your training and what you want to do and your goals, that might not align. And I think
Right.
it's important for people to realize, like, especially people that are new in business, you don't need to be everything to everybody. You need to be who you are to who you want to do it with. You know what I mean? And focusing on
Right.
that niche, if you will. And then if you want to expand later on, you can. But at first, you can't be everything because then you are watered down. And like I say all the time, like, you try to be everything to everybody, you're nothing to nobody. And
Right.
so I think that's exactly, 1000%. Like, I'm with you on that.
Right. And then, for me, it was mainly, if I'm going to train you, if you want to play at the next level, that
Gotcha.
might look like NBA, that might look like a WNBA, that might look at D1, that might look at college, that might mean that you're going to be the best in the country as a high school player.
Okay.
I am that guy,
Yeah.
to get you there, because I am not getting you ready for wherever you are now. I'm getting you ready beyond that. And I tell people that all the time. You can breathe and get 20 points in high school. I'm not getting you ready for high school. I'm getting you ready where if you're on the court in high school and you make 2, 3, 4 legit next level moves, that college coach is like, let me offer her or let me
Yeah.
offer him, because is a next level move.
Yeah.
That is a next level IQ pass, things like that. And so I
That
tell people
transitions.
that transitions right into, and that's where I am with it. And so it just makes it a little bit harder for people to kind of find me, and I don't sit up there and train everybody. Now that has nothing to do with camps. Camps is a lot different. Camps is a
Yeah.
bulk of people. You do your camps for 2 or 3, days, and you try to put in as much as possible within a person so they can understand and learn. But individual training, it's just been a lot different. And I actually love individual training more than, coaching or
Really? Okay.
anything else, because I just love seeing a person actually gain change. You're like, hey, I helped with that, that
Exactly.
kind of thing to it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So how did you brand yourself then in the beginning? You said you only want to work with people that they want to take their game to the next level. So that obviously narrows down your focus, who you want to work with, who you align yourself with as far as your brand, and also imagine just your offering in general, right? Like you said, you have the camps for everybody, but this is really what your bread and butter. How did people find you at first, and how did you start scaling your brand? Because again, I just want to give people tactical advice, because within 5 years, you got to Portland. You now train
Mm-hmm.
all these people, you know what I mean? You're a coach and all these other things, which I'm sure for you being in it didn't seem fast. You know what I mean? Everyone looks
Mm-hmm.
at you from the outside and be like, oh man, you did this so quick. And like, bro, you have no idea. You have no idea. But I want to
Right.
say for people that are out there and be like, okay, he took another route and he was successful. Can you break down how you went about that and how people found you and how you started branding and scaling your brand?
So first, obviously, I was a JUCO coach.
Okay.
For people that don't know what that is, a 2-year school, community college, JUCO. That means kids leave and get to that next level. That could be D1, which is Oregon, Oregon State, or it could be D2, which was Concordia or Western Oregon,
Okay.
or move on to NAI, which is Monoma, right?
Yeah.
So I was still able to at least still coach, right?
Yeah.
And then with the training aspect of it, I actually started training some of the top guys around this area. Like when I got here, I was already training before,
Okay.
but I was already training NBA clients. I was already training pro clients and all those different things. It wasn't as hard because I played at the next level,
Okay.
right? So if there's any sense of, I don't know, man, I don't know if I want to train or if I don't want to pay. I play big summer league. You know, I
Yeah.
play, pro. I played 9 years of pro, so it's a lot easier when you have a resume that you
Yeah.
actually done it. Some people are going to trust you a little bit more with how you train. And that kind of just filtered into, hey, I got, 3 or 4, 5, 6, 9. I have 100+ clients worldwide. And
Okay.
so it kind of helps
Yeah.
regardless of what you did before
That's
to
why you
kind of
always on
break
the
it in a
road.
year. That's why I'm always on the road. Like
Yeah.
literally in a couple weeks, well, next week I'm flying to Montana.
Okay.
It's for a weekend. Billings, Montana, man. I ain't never been to Billings, Montana, so pray for me.
Hey, we got you. We got you.
So that, and then like in a couple weeks, I'm going up to Spokane and doing some
Yeah.
training, and then popping down to Tri-Cities and doing some stuff. So that's why I'm always on the road, because I want to give people an opportunity to still train with a person that made it and played pro, and I want to be easily accessible for them as much as possible, as far as especially when all this COVID going on, nothing started.
Yeah.
So let's keep on working and get into the grind a little bit.
And you were saying actually your business has picked up because people, I guess, are around and they have more time to themselves, right?
Yeah, and the grind is like, for me, I didn't have no 24-hour membership. I didn't have no gyms to go into, and that's why I tell people, like, ain't nobody wasting on $100 or $70 on some gym. I'm
Yeah.
outside hooping.
Yeah.
I'm outside hooping with the grown folks. Outside, that's what we used to. So when everybody was complaining, man, the gyms ain't open, go outside,
Yeah.
get some
Yeah.
work in outside. Zoom. I do a lot of Zoom. I did a lot of Zoom workouts where I was working out, 4 or 5 people a day on Zoom. I was doing package YouTube private links where
Okay.
I had 22 essential ball handling. Sign up, you get this certain $20, sign up, boom, boom, boom. Obviously, you made a lot of money because everybody wants to do some stuff.
Yeah.
But things like that, as far as like marketing yourself, and then as well as still staying with it and giving people that mindset, like, hey, just because it's COVID don't mean you can't work on your game.
Yeah.
You know what I
Talk
mean?
about
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, I was saying, talk about how have you've adapted, obviously, it seems like on the fly and of some stuff you're already doing. Talk about how you've adapted and pivoted since COVID started. Because again, like I said, you're still busy. You're doing private links. You mentioned a couple things people could be doing right now, whether they're a coach, a consultant, anything that's aligns with any type of training. So how did you adapt so fast? And just go over that one more time. I think people that are coaches and experts in their field need to be like, okay, this is another option that's now viable. And then also, if you will, touch on how you think it's going to impact you going forward, because I know a lot of businesses, they realize that this is not a temporary fix. Like there's a
Right.
lot of things, whether they're because they want to, they've now, their eyes are open, they can do more things they couldn't do before. I know this happened for me. It's like now I can talk to people wherever, you know what I mean? That's now a legitimate, like real thing in the marketplace, where doing a Zoom meeting or doing a Zoom call is like the new norm,
That's
right? But
normal.
that's
Yeah.
a benefit. So talk about how you were able to adapt so fast, and then also some of the advantages and benefits you see from COVID that you're going to be able to utilize going forward.
Well, it's funny because if you go backwards, we were Skyping. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So I was Skyping already because I played pro. So
got you.
I was
So it was
already
already built in you.
Skyping for somebody like a mom and dad, or a regular person that, not regular, but a person that actually stayed in the States. You ain't using no Skype for what, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
for me, I was using Skype already because I was going back and forth, and you have to talk to people. They didn't have no FaceTime. You know what I
got you.
mean? And
Yeah,
so it was easier with that. And so for me, I'm like, how can I consistently touch people that I can't go to China right now, or I can't go this. I had my pro guy in the national team in Japan. He was up on Zoom, at 2 a.m, 5 a.m, getting it in and working out and stuff. So you can
yeah,
have, 6, 7 people on Zoom while you work out, and
yeah,
they sitting there watching you, and the screen pops in. So for me, it was like, it's the same thing. Let's get up, let's
yeah,
work, let's get in the grind and whatnot. And then so that kind of filtered into, I had a national team client, girl client. She played Toledo, Sarah.
okay,
Shout out to Sarah doing her thing. But she, she flew back out here to Portland, and she was working for 2 or 3 months. And she was like, hey, I'm outside at this gym. This is where I'm working at. I was like, absolutely. If Sarah can go, and she's a national team player in Finland, playing in Spain as
yeah,
well, then anybody can go, And
yeah,
so I started training her outside, and joined a couple other girls with her, some guys with her, and we were just going, I was literally, 9 a.m., 11:30, 1, and then do it all over again, and so it just filtered right into it. And I think kids start understanding, like, man, I could go outside and hoop, and that builds a mentality too that's a lot more non-prima donna.
Exactly. I was literally just thinking that. I think that and we can apply it to business too, but also athletics. I think that COVID happening, it's turned people to I don't want to say less soft, but more just like raw and real, right? Like back to just the foundation, whether it's basketball playing outside, I know I'm talking about people in business perspective all the time now, where people are literally that kind of like that mirror that kind of filter that they use within themselves has kind of been taken away. Now people are seeing kids running to the background and they're seeing people's homes, and it's just became a lot more real and authentic. And I think that's appropriate, whether it's, in your case, training basketball now outside. They probably some kids I know nowadays, they probably ain't played basketball outside their entire life.
They ain't never played the entire life. You could just tell in general, these shoes. Boy, if you don't get out there and play, it ain't got nothing to do with putting the ball in the hole. Now obviously I have a lot of gyms that I use inside and things like that, private gyms. But at the same time too, if it's not accessible, if your gym is not open, let's get some working outside. I don't mind doing it. If I don't mind doing it, you shouldn't be mind doing it. Exactly. So I think that mentality changed, and I think they needed to, especially because it's Pacific Northwest. And people already think Pacific Northwest people soft, and so having that, no offense, man.
Hey, look, I'm laughing because I know it's true.
So, I mean, in general, I think it just worked out kind of, perfectly, and it's still, going where, hey, I'm okay with hooping outside. You'll see a lot of D1 people outside hooping, a lot of pro people out there hooping, so it brings back. Matter of fact, up in North Portland, Irvington, everybody was out there hooping outside, in the last couple weekends, and they're just bringing back the feel to what it should be in the first place. So
exactly. So that's a great pivot. I want to talk about basketball now, whether it's youth, whether it's professional, whatever. And I mentioned this in the description. Branding versus the sport itself, right? From a business perspective, it's a great opportunity, right? You get to brand yourself, you get to market yourself, you get seen more than just an athlete, as LeBron would say, right? Which is exactly how they are. But I imagine there's that crossroads, especially in youth athletics, maybe even in college, where it's like, yo, you're spending so much time branding yourself. You can think of maybe like a Julian Newman, right? So much time branding yourself. Does that translate necessarily over to D1 offers? Does that translate over to becoming a better player? What's your take on that? Because it's a necessity. You know what I mean? Like I saw something the other day. What's that kid? The number 1 Mikey, the number 3 sophomore, right? He has so many million followers. Yeah, right? The number 1 sophomore or whatever in this class, DeJuan Wagner's son, isn't really even on social media like that. You know what I mean? And he has like 25,000 followers. So obviously that you can, when you're top 5, it doesn't matter. But for the general player or the general public, how does it help and how does it maybe hurt, in your opinion?
If you put out too much content, you're going to be overrated, right? So everybody's going to think that you're not as good at what we see you doing, And so a lot of people don't understand that. So with Wagner, it's like you look up Wagner's highlights, they're just regular highlights that maybe his dad put up. You know what I mean? Still got a lot of views, but regular highlights. Mikey Williams, you'll see him training with Drew Hanley. You see him training with, all these other pro guys. That's DJ Sackman. You'll see him training with all these different people. So now that's putting him on a certain level where it's like, man, is he, and he's good. He's really, really good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now people are really trying to find flaws, just like LeBron James' son. Is he really that good? Can he do this? Can he do that?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, you're not ranked number 1. You're not ranked number 2. You're ranked number 3 and 4 because people are finding more flaws with you because of that. So now you have put them on a level where it's like, oh, he better do this. He better do that. I just seen him working out and doing this with this pro. Boom, boom, boom. Well, Wagner's son, he's straight to the point. He has an NBA game. He's ready. He doesn't sit up there and do all the social media different stuff. And that makes a perception of person a lot different. And a lot of people don't understand that. So if you put out, content all the time, like, hey, I got that kind of style, I got this kind of style, I got this, velour suit, I got this. Well, if I see you and you ain't got that and you looking a little bit bummy, then I'm like, damn, like, I swear he was.
It puts a bullseye on your back, essentially. You got to always be on.
You got to always be on. And that's the bad thing about that social media and that content. I was just telling a couple other people that, like, if you put out too much content, then it over, values what you truly are. And you can't make any faults or make any flaws. And that's tough. I think that, and it's tough for those kind of kids because those kids mentally are not ready yet. They think they are, but they're going to go home and cry too. They're going to go home, be upset. LeBron can go home and be like, oh man, this person don't like me. Well, he's a grown man. He's mentally strong enough to be able to do that. With these kids like Julian Newman, what, he maybe got one D1 offer? I don't even think he got a D1
I don't think he got any. I don't think he got any.
Yeah. So now you got to do prep school another time. Just all this different stuff. And it's just like, it was too much content too early for your career because you just wasn't ready for it, And then people got better and he got better too. But people like, hey, I don't need all this stuff to go to D1, So, just like Jalen Suggs, Suggs, a guy that's going to go to the NBA, you JUCO first team, but Sion, the kid I was just training, from KU, he was number 1, and then number 2, and then both of them was going back and forth. Now he went to KU, Suggs, was going to the NBA. Now they're not saying that they potentially gonna be me at the same spot, but he got a little bit of, hey, you don't know me yet. Everybody doesn't know me. I don't have all this, Instagram stuff, all these, Frankie Vision, is out following me and all the different stuff. So I just think, it's okay with being behind closed doors and not doing too much content, and then being able to come in and say, hey, I was already nice. I'm good. I can hoop.
There you go. And they don't have any preconceived notions. I think also what I hear you saying too is curating your content, but curating it to as long as it's quality, right?
Yes.
Like there's an aspect of, you can put out if it's quality, but then obviously, like I said, again, but then there's an expectation within that. Yeah, man, no, that's great. I feel like that's applicable to a whole bunch of different industries. Before you go, I could talk to you about all day about sports and basketball and this and rankings and all that. Like I said, I used to referee, and so I love it. But tell people about where to find you, what you got going on. I know you, like I said, you just said you will be in what was it, Wyoming? Where'd you say? Montana.
Same thing.
Yeah. So I know it's like Wyoming, Montana. It's one of those. Idaho, one of those. But yeah, so tell people where to find you and what you got going on and what's coming up next with you for the rest of the year and then 2021 and beyond.
So I got the girls elite guard combine that's going to be coming up here soon. It's basically the top 30 to 40 girls around the region, a couple out of area kids too, and putting them all together in one gym and just kind of just getting after it and having 50 college coaches watching live streaming, and a few of them can be in the gym watching. Just give them a platform and an opportunity to get more D1 offers or more next level offers. And then I'm going out to Spokane and training a couple clients that, play for UW, and then going down to Tri-Cities as well. Kind of hit everybody like around that Tri-Cities, Yakima area, and then flying out to Billings, Montana, and doing some things. And I got to come back and do a big camp in Eugene. So I'm kind of just filtering, kind of everywhere a little bit. I wish I can go. I was supposed to go over the Czech Republic, and a couple other places over there, but with COVID, I don't know if I got a quarantine, for 14 days or something like that. But that's where I am. If anybody wants to contact me or hit me up, I would say find me on Facebook, or find somebody that's in the basketball world to give you my number. It's a small world, and I think people know how to find me, and they have done a good job. I think if you do a good job, people are going to find you. People are going to speak volumes of what you do, and your.
I found you through social media.
Yep.
I mean, we connected. You know what I mean? Literally, it wasn't. It wasn't like, oh, I was just like, oh.
And actually, to be really, really honest, so I saw you at fashion shows. You know what I mean? So you was doing the fashion shows and getting everybody hype and making sure things is rolling right, at the fashion shows and whatnot, because that's, that was something that kind of brought, I would say us together without you probably even knowing, as well. Cause I'm in the background, I ain't getting VIP, you know what I mean? I'm sitting there as my fashion shows going back and forth, and that's kind of how, we connected without you kind of even knowing, about that too. So
but to your point, and then we follow each other, and then I see you and I see your videos and I see this, and I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? He's doing it. So like you said, I think when you're good at what you do, people find you. People find out about you. You know what I mean? Obviously, you want to market yourself and brand yourself, but nothing beats credibility, and nothing beats, you know, being great at what you do. And so at the end of the day, you can market yourself all you want. They go find out. You know what I mean? Like, they go find out. So,
and what I kind of do real quick is I kind of try to bring everybody together. So fashion is going to be over here. Basketball is going to be over here. Somebody that's going through a rough day is going to be over here. Right. And so I was able to put them all together, where if I put up a basketball post, you know, of somebody I'm training, you know, from George Mason, you know, well, somebody that's going through a bad day, or, you know, want to uplift and is going to go comment on that because I've intertwined in that, or somebody that's over in New York at New York Fashion Week is going to intertwine in that, because we all end up all bringing it all together, where not just your regular basketball person is going to like all the stuff that I post. You know, everybody else is going to like it. Now, are they going to watch the full video? Probably not, but they're going to comment and respect all those different things too. So,
nah, I mean, I think that's great, especially like I said, when you create when you become the connector, if you will, to everybody. You know what I mean? And you're like the center, and you have all these different connections, all these different outliers, all these different industries, but they all come to you. You know what I mean? And like you said, then you have the fashion guy who's now watching the basketball video. Then you have someone that needs to be uplifted. Then you have someone that does this or that. So I think, you know, when you can become the connector and it's authentic to who you are, like that allows you to scale your branding, scale your exposure much faster. You know what I mean? Even if you aren't necessarily directly within those industries, you're the person that's connected to the people in all these other industries, which then just multiplies your brand. So
it makes it a lot easier doing it that way. So, but it was strategic. It was strategic. It was a lot of different moves that I had to make in between it. And, you know, and I end up, you know, it's ended up working. You know, I'm successful a little bit. So.
Man, you like I said, I'm glad I caught you. I'm glad you came on. I'm glad I was able to catch up, because I know we talked. I know you, like I said, you'd be gone, and I'd be seeing the videos. And for me, of course, coming from my perspective, from like a branding marketing, I'm like, oh, this is, you know, I'm watching these, like I'm watching the videos, like I'm watching the videos as from a production perspective, right? Talking to what you just mentioned, like I'm looking at. I mean, obviously, I said I play basketball. I'm not a nephew that played at Clemson and whatnot, and I need to connect him to you, because. Anyway, we'll talk about that off whatever. But yeah, no. So I'm watching from perspective, like, oh, this is dope videos, and then I just follow the trail, like you said, and I see you're in Kansas City one day, and so with me, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, now he's doing it. So and then my interest is peaked, and then I'm paying even more attention. So I definitely commend what you're doing. Like I said, I appreciate it, and I like you, you know, like what you're doing and putting on for everybody, and like I said, creating a space in Portland that's not necessarily known. I commend you for it.
I appreciate that, man. That's love. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, man, everybody follow him, tune in. He gonna be all over. Catch him now. I always tell people, man, like, look, catch him before his price go up. Like I can say it. Catch him before his price go up. So if you training, you at the home, you go kid, you need training, hit him up if he can get you in. If you want to go to the next level, he's the one you should talk to. So, man, Nate, bro, I appreciate you. Enjoy your week, man, and we'll be in touch soon.
Appreciate it, man. Let me know if you need something.
I will do. Will do for sure.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Peace.